seeing the health care bill pass. So public opinion matters, and public opinion usually leans a little bit to the right, again, to use left and right for convenience sake. But when it's orchestrated, it's almost always orchestrated from the left. The media, of course, generally speaking, leans a little bit to the left, in my humble opinion, and most of the data shows that. Influence is the most important category. Influencers are the public employee unions, the AFL-CIO, and other private sector unions. Influencers are business groups like the Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, they're not necessarily free marketers. They're generally corporate welfareists who want to control the regulatory environment. Most chambers are pretty bad in terms of liberty-based public policy. And of course, the Cato Institute, or us, we're influencers. One of the basic principles of the political vice is that our side has very, very weak status on the influencer category, and the other side is extremely strong. So as an example, can you name some influencers from the left, again using the term left just for convenience sake? Who influences on the left? Who are some of the public employee unions and the other people putting pressure on the Democrats and President Obama? Yes?
Trial lawyers? Trial
lawyers, one of the biggest influences on the left, absolutely.
Racial groups?
Racial groups, right. Social justice groups, absolutely. Anybody else?
George Soros?
George Soros, another excellent example. George Soros is a very big influencer and funds many organizations that are front groups for his activity.
The unions?
The unions?
Yes.
Yes. SEIU, Ask Me, the private sector unions, AFL-CIO, UAW. It's no coincidence that the bondholders of General Motors were pretty much thrown to the curb and didn't get any bailout. In the UAW, that deal turned out pretty nicely when GM got bailed out. Yes, sir. Pardon me? The international community, yes, I would say that. Is that what you said? Yeah, I would say that's also an influencer, especially obviously on the national stage. Who are the influencers on the right?
The church?
Churches are definitely an influencer on the right. You'll see that that's not monolithic, though. All those groups we just said on the left have a fairly common goal, and that goal is to aggregate power in the state in order to control resources to achieve the ends they see as the proper way to organize society. Churches are somewhat, they're not monolithic. Anybody else? NRA, yes. The challenge with the NRA, one of the most effective lobbying groups in the country, has been very effective over a long period of time. Single issue. They don't generally partner with other people. They work, of course, and they should, across party lines, but very effective. Second Amendment organization.
Grover Norquist and his
public policy groups and advocacy groups like Grover Norquist, which has a research and education arm as well as an advocacy arm. People like us, Cato, those are all influencers. The challenge between their influencers and ours is they are extremely well-funded, well-organized, and they have a very specific plan with a common goal among them. So they squabble, but generally speaking, they're all pulling the oars in the same direction. The challenge on our side is that we're underfunded on a relative basis. We don't have compulsory union dues to fund our operation or our political work. And we're very siloed. So you have the NRA as an example, very siloed. They focus on Second Amendment rights. You have the churches that are, if they're on the right, primarily focused on social issues, not economic issues. You have think tanks that generally do research and education, but they don't have an advocacy arm. And the list goes on and on. Very fragmented or siloed on the right, very well organized on the left. And one of the things that I think is very important to understand about politics and how it relates to your education on public policy and political thought is that in the end, it's the political process that determines the rules of the game in our society. And the bottom line is the influencers are very important because they directly influence politicians. And they also have earned media and paid media operations and grassroots operations, and they influence the way the media covers stories, and they influence the way the public opinion is shaped and